This is the Daily Social Distancing Show with Trevor Noah.
Let's kick it off with some good news. According to thermometers, social distancing might be working. Yeah, the company Kinza Health, which makes smart thermometers that upload users' temperatures to the internet, reports that fevers across the United States are dropping dramatically. Now, these thermometers accurately predicted the rise in coronavirus hospitalizations, so if they're showing dropping fevers, that's a promising sign. So please, people, let's stay at home. Let's stay inside and keep flattening that curve so that someday we can go back to our normal lives, you know? Don't you want to go outside again, be out there, cutting each other off in traffic, complaining about your allergies, getting invited to your friend's improv show? Now that I say it, maybe quarantine isn't that bad. Maybe we should just stay here a little longer. Also, there are some positive signs coming out of the epicenter of this pandemic, New York. Recently, it has gone from being the city that never sleeps to the city that lays awake at night filled with existential dread. But the good news is that, faced with the prospect of overrun hospitals, the city is adapting. The enormous Javits Convention Center has now been converted into a hospital with 1,000 beds. There's an emergency field hospital being constructed in Central Park. Entire hotels will soon be rented out and converted into hospitals, and 5,000 new ICU beds were recently installed inside one of Mayor de Blasio's shoes. Basically, any giant spaces are being filled with beds, even if they kind of smell. Also, some more good news. The Navy has sent over the US hospital ship Comfort, great name, which docked here in New York yesterday. The Comfort has 1,000 hospital beds on board, which New Yorkers are very excited about. In fact, so excited that yesterday a crowd gathered to welcome the boat to the city, which is obviously extremely counterproductive in social distancing land, but it also shows you how much New York has changed. Yeah, because normally we hate it when people show up to the city. Like a month ago, New Yorkers would have gathered to throw rats at that boat. Your mother says hello! And beds aren't the only reinforcements New York is getting right now. Over 76,000 doctors and nurses, many of them who had already retired, have volunteered to step up and help out during this crisis, which is pretty amazing. And a few days ago, a flight full of healthcare workers from Georgia flew to New York to help lend a hand. And I'm really grateful to them. And I also just hope that they didn't land at LaGuardia, because they'd walk around the terminal like, we're too late, the city is already destroyed. I'd be like, no, this is what it normally looks like. And I'm really grateful for those doctors from Georgia, not only because their help is needed, but also because doctors from Atlanta will probably be the most entertaining doctors you've ever had. They'll be mumble rapping their diagnosis. You have a coronavirus and the virus is even the stuff in the sun. It's a woo, above the ribbon again, and woo. So thank you, Georgia. We're not going to forget this. New York will not forget what Georgia has done for us. In fact, when this is all over, New York is going to send some of its subway masturbators to your state just to say thanks. And speaking of appreciation, last night, the Empire State Building lit up like a siren to honor all the medical workers serving on the front lines of this epidemic. Now, this might have been a good idea when they first pitched it, but I will tell you, as someone who lives in New York, it was terrifying. The Empire State Building, giant light flashing around. And can you imagine if someone was high in their living room? They must have freaked out. Just like, shit, dude. I think we're getting pulled over by that building.